Hey guys, sorry you were stuck at home, but if you are logging on to figure out what you need to do for today, Tuesday, on your page with the weekly breakdown, it shows that we are doing chapter 2, lesson 5 about biogeography. It's only like 3 pages long, it's a pretty short lesson. And then we will also be doing our chapter review in the book on pages 77 and 78 to prepare us for our test on Thursday. If you logged on yesterday, you saw that our test was going to be tomorrow and then our review was going to be today, but we pushed it back just a little bit. So make sure you look at those changes. So for today, go to chapter 2, lesson 5 in your book. Right here, biogeography. There's a few key words that I want you to know from this lesson. The first one is biogeography, and that's the study of where organisms live and how they got there. Just as humans do, different plants and animals live in different parts of the world. So, biogeographers study factors that have led to the worldwide distribution of all of these species that exist today. One of the big things way back in time was continental drift. And I think you learned about that in sixth grade earth science. But at one point, like in the picture on page 73 in your book, it shows that all of our continents were once together. Animals roamed freely to and fro in these little areas. And then over time, lots and lots of time, all the continents started to drift apart, called continental drift. And you can see that in here. So, continental drift has a huge impact on species distribution. Australia down here drifted away from the other land masses millions of years ago, so organisms from other parts of the world could not reach this isolated island anymore, and then unique Australian species were developed in this area. A key thing that I want you to look at on page 73 is the bolded sentence on the bottom with the little blue key. It says continental drift. Wind, water, and living things are all means of distributing species. Other factors, such as physical barriers, competition, and climate, can also limit species dispersal. So if you turn to page 74, here are some other different means of dispersal. So the definition for dispersal says the movement of organisms from one place to another. That could be confusing if you think back to immigration and emigration. It's how organisms move from place to place, but dispersal is just a little bit different. Dispersal isn't physically a bird flying to a different area. It's things like dispersing berries or dispersing seeds or in your book, it says dispersal can be caused by gravity, wind, water, or living things such as the blue jay. So it's these organisms that are moving these other organisms to and from. Think of if you have a pet, you walk your dog, and your dog gets little cockaburs or thistles on him. And then as you're walking, those thistles fall off to other areas, like other people's lawns. That's dispersal. So, one way of dispersal is wind and water. I want you to read through that so you can understand that. Another way dispersal is other living things. So, it says organisms can also be dispersed by other living things. Um, an exotic species is an organism that is carried into a new location by people. So, people always or also have a huge impact on dispersal. Um, An exotic species is an organism that is carried into a new location by people, and exotic species have contributed to the decline or elimination of native species. So, one example of exotic species, you probably know this one. A long time ago, back when you were probably in your early elementary school years, you saw all these beautiful red ladybugs. And lately, in the summers, you don't see red ladybugs anymore. You see bees instead. These right here are Asian beetles. So Asian beetles came over across the country. I think they arrived on like cargo ships because they were in certain like containers or they were like attached to certain cargo ships, and that's how they got brought over eventually. But all of these Asian beetles started taking over the butterfly or the ladybugs' habitats, and they had to start to compete to see who could survive there. And so then our ladybug species population ended up going down. And so now most of the time all we see are these Asian beetles. We rarely ever see like a beautiful red ladybug. And then let's see. Here on page 75 are some other limits to dispersal. So I want you to go through this page and read it as well. Once you are done with this lesson, I'm not sure if this shows it to us in here. I want you to do the review and assessment. On your Schoology page, in the Tuesday orange description, I wrote down the numbers that I want you to do for the review. We didn't go over every single lesson in chapter 2, and there's some questions that I don't need you to answer or you don't need to be prepared for the test. So make sure you just look at this so you can do the review on page 77 and 78. And then tomorrow we will be doing a review day in class. So if you would like to be a part of that, we will be doing a GIMKIT first. And tomorrow at about 10:15, I'll get the GIMKIT ready for my third period class. And if you're at home, whether you're in my third period or not, maybe you're in sixth period or something like that, I still want you to be able to use the code for my third period class. So if you would like to be a part of our GIMKIT, you can log on around 10:15 and type in the GIMKIT code on your computer at home, and then you can play GIMKIT with us from home. I'll also have a Google Slide review game that I'll post later today when I finish it, and I want you to do that review tomorrow as well. You will just put your answers for the review from the Google Slide review game that I'll post on a sheet of paper. So other than that, that is all we are doing today and tomorrow. And then on Thursday, I'd like you to log on to Schoology and take your assessment for chapter 2. And then I'm not quite sure what we are doing on Friday yet, so I'll get back to you about Friday. Thanks.